Hey everybody, here's an next little video looking at our political ideology and political parties unit, focusing on the political spectrum, okay? And the section notes we'll be working on, guys, goes here. You have ideology spectrum, and you have our four-side spectrum, and looking at your typical views. On here we're looking at these parts right here, okay? Understanding your notes, feel free to add stuff to this if you need to, so hopefully helps you all make sense as we'll get more into what you believe and decide where you fit on these political spectrums. All right, so here we go. Put my slideshow up here, and it basically means political spectrum essentially just means that we're going to find a way to visually show where people sit on their political positions, okay, on one or more axes. So we're getting some, mathy terms in here, which kind of scares me a little bit, but it's essentially a visual to show where people fit politically. And the biggest thing is that it's not a black or white thing. You're not this or this, but it's a spectrum. You can be anywhere along our line here to figure where you can be. Okay, and so people kind of forget that we have people in the middle, we have people to the left, people to the right. And you can be anywhere along this line. It's not all or nothing. It can be kind of all in the middle potentially. Most, I would say, 80% of Americans end up right around here, right around the center. Whereas like the other 20% are the really loud ones that are at the very edges of what's going on. So it's just a visual line to show how stuff works, okay? There are two big things we see in our government, right? What kind of tells us our ideology and where you fit in the spectrum. One is change. How much change you want to happen in the government? Do you want a lot of change or a little bit of change? And top it off, how fast should that change be? Is your change going to be really fast, like overnight, or really slow over many, many years? So that's one thing. How much change is happening in government? The second big thing is how much the government should intervene or get involved with the lives of people, either personal life or the economy kind of stuff. So, and that's kind of one of the bigger questions about how much people get involved in things. So, our general assumption is this looking at our political spectrum, like in the back of our classroom. People that are further to the left, okay, on the left side, typically want more government, okay, on the right, want less government. So when it comes to the question of like who's going to solve problems, who's going to fix things, who's going to watch things, the left side says more government to more liberal ideas. The right side says less government. That's more about personal rights, do things on your own. Okay. When it comes to change, the left wants more change, wants to be faster change. Let's change things a lot now. Let's make things happen. On the other side here, it's little to no change. We're going to try and keep things the way they are, even maybe the way they used to be back in the good old day kind of situation. And that's kind of general assumptions we make. Now, obviously, assumptions make something like you and me, so let's not use assumptions all the time, okay? And so, kind of to break it down a little further here, right? In terms of liberal stuff, we want progress. They want to have progress. Government's job is to help fix problems. It's good progress. Change is good. Inequality bad. Kind of basic things. The other side, looking about traditional beliefs and institutions, the power of personal freedom. You make your own choices, you get your own consequences, all those kind of things. So in this case here, the individual is good, change is bad, and freedom and choice are good. You can do a lot of things that you want to do in your own situation. No one's really telling you what to do. And so that's kind of where these two lines hit. So remember, left, more change, more government action. On the right, traditional values, less government. Now, going forward, we kind of use some terminology on our line here, right? Like I said, it's a spectrum. It's not a this or that kind of deal. So we're gonna go from very far left, very far right. We have radicals on one side here. Basically, we'll have a lot of change all of a sudden. Like just flip everything up on its head and make change happen really, really fast. Okay, even could be like violent kind of stuff. So this is kind of talking like Russian Revolution, communism, that kind of thing. You have your liberals, right? Kind of more in the middle on that left side, who want the government involved in stuff, protecting welfare of citizens, helping people out, a lot of peaceful change you want to do, and really want the government to get more involved in making some of those changes happen. You have moderates who are in the middle. They're kind of like, let's wait and see what happens. They may agree with some on one side, some on the other side, just kind of being in the middle. Okay? Either conservatives or traditional conservatives want to keep things the way they are, or even like maybe how they used to be. And they don't want to do a lot of new policies, right? Especially with government getting involved in deals. Their idea is that the less government does stuff, the better, right? Especially the federal government puts more to the states. The states put more stuff to the locals, that kind of deal. The less government they want, the better things are going to be. And reactions like, let's go back to the good old day kind of situation, right? Let's kind of make things the way things were way back in the day. A great example of this was like fascist Italy and Nazi Germany, where it was like Let's go back to where things were really great, and they used extreme methods to make that happen. All right. So that's the line we have. We'll see this in our classroom. We can get a little more advanced and go to what's called a compass. So we want to break things down even further. We have this four-sided political compass here. So you can have the economic line, how much we're involved in the economy. Okay, economic left, more involvement. Economic right, less involvement. We also have our social line then, authoritarian to libertarian. Authoritarian means more government involvement in personal stuff. Libertarian is less government involvement in personal kind of stuff. So we go a step further here, we can kind of see where different parties lie. All right. So different parties lie in different places. Then up here, I want government involved in personal stuff. I want government involved in economic stuff, right? From over here, we're going to do less involvement in the economy, but a heck of a lot more involvement in personal kind of deals. Down here, I don't want to be involved in anything. I want to make sure that the government stays out much of the stuff as wholly possible, okay? And there's side over here too, where we have a lot of government involved in the economy, but also a lot of government, less government involvement in people's kind of ideas. So it depends on how much you want to be involved in the economic ideas and the social ideas. Looking at our current political candidates, we'll see a lot of people more up here in this part, right? So like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Republicans, a little more on the right side of like economic right, but also like more on the idea of a little bit less personal freedom kind of stuff. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are, even as Democrats, more to the right a little bit on our economic stuff, right? Not so much over here on the left, and slightly less, I would say, than other people in terms of like how much they want to get involved in personal stuff. Personal stuff being like, marijuana, abortion, those kind of personal kind of things. Economic stuff is going to be like, minimum wages, taxes, all that kind of stuff. If you go to the very, very edges, right, we have things like socialism and libertarianism. So socialism, like communism, right, says that, government kind of does a lot of stuff, right? Government might provide jobs, a lot of high tax on people. The idea that equality is the goal and the government is doing almost everything. Some countries in Europe have partially kind of things like this, socialist kind of programs where like healthcare is free, childcare is free, college is free, all those kind of deals. But then you're going to have a lot higher taxes, okay? On the other end of that would be like libertarianism. So libertarian, you might see my sign on the wall, but libertarians, they bring freedom as everything, right? They want to have less government involvement in everything, right? Less taxes, small defense, but also like personal freedom. Like, hey, whatever you want to do in your house is great. If you want to be a same-sex couple who grows weed in your house and protects it with guns, you go for it, right? Whatever you do, that's on you kind of deal. So the government regulations are going to stay out of stuff and kind of give people those choices altogether. All right, guys, that's political. The political spectrum. We'll go over that more in class. Thank you for your time, your attention. You're awesome. Keep being that way.